Alright, g'day guys. Tonight we're going to be kicking off a new series on a application that I've recently become aware of called Obsidian. It's a note-taking application that's not written for tabletop RPGs, but it's certainly got a lot of functionality that I know the Realmworks community, for example, is very interested in. I've only had my hands on this application for just probably under 24 hours now. But I'm having a lot of fun with it, and it's got me excited. And for anyone who's followed me for a while now, you'd be aware that I'm a long-time Realmworks user. Obviously Realmworks has had its struggles, it's no longer in active development, and there's always the concern there that the application will stop working at some point in the future. So I have been looking for a replacement for a long time, and I have checked high and low for all sorts of solutions. I've come across all of the web solutions that are currently popular. I'm not a fan. I don't like the idea of putting the amount of data that I put into a campaign onto a web service where I need to pay a subscription fee in order to maintain access to my data. I really don't like the idea of that. And obviously it opens up for situations just like Realmworks, really, where I'm concerned that if the service was to cease being available to us, then obviously you would lose all your content and all of your man hours that have gone into that. Bit of a catch-22, obviously, when I talk about man hours, the amount of work I've put into Realmworks is obscene. So, you know, the idea of moving everything over to a new platform for me is it's not a light decision that I've made, and I've really spent a lot of time looking at all the features and functionality that are available and the available tools on the market, and this is the first time that I've got excited about a product. This is the first time that I think I've actually found something that's going to be able to deliver all of the functionality that I'm interested in. So without further ado, let's jump over and explore Obsidian. It's a note-taking application. In the basis it's quite simple, but the things you can do with it are absolutely amazing. So let's jump over and have a look. Alright, so in front of me now you can see well, I think they call it a vault, but I'm still learning the terminology. But basically this is what us Realmwork users would refer to as a realm. It's a collection of topics and folders that basically contain everything that we would use within a module. I've spent just under, well, probably a couple of hours now just doing a little bit of basic import. This is not a complete campaign that I'm showing you here. It's a testing ground for me, if I'm completely honest. But I thought we'd have a bit of a play and show you around some of the features and functionality that I've found so far that I think Realmworks users particularly might be sort of keen on. So if we jump around and have a look, we can see at the basis here we have new note and new folder. New folder is as easy as it sounds. It creates a folder, and that folder can be renamed my folder. And then inside folders you can create notes. You can drag and drop these things. Alright, that there is the core foundation of this program. It's as simple as it is. So in notes it's really quite simple. This is my note. Up here we have something we'd be familiar with, which is, you know, a button to change between editing and a button to change between actually seeing what the note would look like. So if we get out of edit mode, we can now see this is my note, and this is my my note heading. This is my folder that it's in. So as you can see, that there is like the core principles of this application, and it's very simple. Outside of that though, you know, we can start to do linking, which most of us would be fairly comfortable with. It's not as nice as Realmworks linking, unfortunately. For those of us who do it, we would know that you could just type and press enter, but you know, you could just do this bracket OCH. Let's go to the gem cutter. Alright, and it searches out your topic names and lets you click it, so you don't have to fill out the whole thing. And once you click back into preview mode, you can see that the links are there created. Now the thing that I really like about this is what you can see happening on the screen in front of you now, where you hold your mouse over a link and you now get a preview. So you don't have to jump into that thing. Really easy to use, really clean, really quick, and I think that really deserves comment here. If you're coming from Realmworks, one of the big things that I'm finding about this application is just how quick it is. Even though like that was linking to an external website, but it's still quick. It's very, very speedy, and obviously those of us who have worked with large Realmworks realms for a while now will know that there is a delay there when it's loading large data sets. So to see something like this is it really makes me happy. What we have though is the ability to click a link, and that basically opens up that link inside of the existing, I guess what you would call a topic. It's now a note. And from here you can obviously see other things going on. What you can do though is you can control click something, and then that opens it up into another window. This is something that's quite different for those of us who are coming from Realmworks. Is we used to just have the 2 panes and it was very restrictive in how that worked. Now we can have as many panes as we want. What we can also do is drag these panes around. Alright, we can set ourselves up in different ways. We can pin panes so that they stay where they are, and you can see that you've got the back button here. I haven't actually used back in that one. I think I've only gone to that one as well. You've got the back and forth ability if you've done it. Now, just in case someone's already working along and they've already opened up this application and they're staring in frustration at their screen going, wow, yours doesn't look like mine. I have added a lot of what they call plugins to this already, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another video where I go through some of those plugins in detail, and I'll try and make, let's say, 1 video per plugin so you can get an idea of what those plugins offer and how to use them. Similar to what we did with Realmworks, right? We'll introduce you guys to the functionality and features one step at a time so you can get used to things and how they work. But let's just go around and have a bit of a look. So I've had to make a decision here on my folder structure, obviously. You can tell I've come from Realmworks because I'm starting to sort my data in a similar way. One thing I've always wanted in Realmworks was a really easy way to see my party. So what I've done is I've made a... actually, let me just get rid of all these. What I've done is I've made a topic here, or a note for each character. I haven't spent much time in this yet. I've just copied some of the information I had available at the time, but you can see what's starting to happen. And one thing that I've found is really, really cool with this is there's this really fancy data stuff going on. And so you can see here that I've actually got a table of all of my players that are in the campaign. You can see their player name, their class, their race. Once I add level in there, it'll be there as well. But the really funky thing about this, guys, is I didn't make this table. And that's really cool in my eyes. The links obviously work, so I can click that and go back to Valeria, for example. Smoke, no data. But this is an active table, and just to give you an idea, if I was to make a copy of Valeria and go back into preview mode, notice I've already got Valeria 1 down here. Alright? And I'm gonna have to make a video on this for you guys, but this is the code that allows that to work. It's very simple. I've already had people reaching out to me and go, oh, I'm overwhelmed, there's a lot of code in here, I don't get it. This is simple stuff, guys, and I think what we can do is show you a way to make it easy for you. And just to give you an idea, what I'm already doing down here is making my notes for editing, and I'm starting to keep track of the different types of formatting and text that is required. And what I'm doing is then taking that, copying it and pasting it into a new note. So I'm not even really having to stop and think about what is the code that I need to in order to achieve this. I'm not typing the code, I'm just cut and pasting, making modifications, and off we go. Here's another good example of some of the code. For example, this is another mod or plugin, and effectively you would type your text in here, And then once you click play on that, you can see that this creates a pop-out box, or a call-out box as we would call it, or maybe a read-out box. And I would love to actually contact the developer of this one and see if they can actually make one that says read me. I think that would be really useful for us. Or maybe we can change it. It seems to be very, very flexible in what we can do. So that's the active party. I was playing around with some audio last night. I don't know if I've actually still got that enabled. Give me a sec and I'll show you how easy it actually is in order to bring in some music. I do think I've got some... Actually, you know what? I'm not going to play music just because if I do, YouTube will take this down. They do that. But what you can do is drag your text in. Maybe I need to put a little thing in here. Oh, sorry, I'm dragging the image, not the file. So now I've dragged an MP3 in. You can see there that that's now just like that, right? I've just dragged an MP3 in, and that's now playable. I can click play. I've got all sorts of controls in here for skipping the music. It's very easy to use. I won't do it because YouTube will have a heart attack. DM screen, something I've always wanted from Realmworks, but it was never really quick enough to really do. I've just pasted in some images, so now I have access to a DM screen really, really quickly and efficiently. That I can zoom in on the sections I want if I'm having trouble with my eyes, which are, starting to get older. You can link to external websites very easily. So as you can see here, I've gone over to Donjon and I've got the size calculator here, or I could go over to a magic table generator. Alright, so that's all really easy. Had someone reach out and show us a list of random table generators. And I thought this was really cool, and again, there's lots of custom mods to get to this point, guys, but here we've got an NPC generator. We can click that, we can roll the dice, and we get an NPC. I am finding there's a few errors in some of these ones that I'm playing with, like this shouldn't be here, but ultimately it's still looking quite nice, and I think that just needs a little bit of work. Maybe it's in a beta mode or something, or something wrong with my install, but yeah, as you can see, it's really quite easy. Wherever you see these little dice, you can click it again and you can roll something else. I've started entering a module. When the tool came out initially, I couldn't put notes into my folders, and that quite annoyed me, but I found an add-on to fix that, so I now have that. And it comes with this automatic functionality that I'm not quite sure about yet, but it basically lets you summarize all of the topics in there and gives you a button to them. Alright, so that's an idea, but outside of that, you can see the formatting here. You can paste a picture in very easily. And to give you an idea, like, let me grab an image of a cat. Just going to grab an image of a cat here. I'm going to copy it. It's one of these ones that you can't copy it. Copy image. And then if I come in here into edit mode, click paste, give it a couple of seconds, go back into preview mode, and there's the picture of the cat. And look, what that's done is that's actually created a copy of that image. It's saved it into the folder structure within my vault. And now all I have to do is write that link name wherever I want, and I get a picture of the cat. Now, one thing I really like about this is that it's linking to the same file, so it's not doubling up on your resources by creating another image of the file. It's really quite quick and efficient to use, and as you can see, it's really quite easy to get rid of too. There's formatting. Formatting's quite simple, like to make a different formatting options here. You can just put a hash. One hash goes like that, two hash like that, three hash like that, and it just keeps going down. And I think I was at 2, go back to 1. One thing about the hashes is they seem to set the drop down options and how far they go. So if if you have this set as 1 hash and this one set as 1 hash, then that will basically collapse all of that information into that level. So again, very similar functionality to Realmworks. So working quite nicely there. You can see I've put pictures in here. Haven't played around with that map yet, but I'm going to get there. Call out boxes to make things nice and neat and easy to see. It does support tables, although I found tables are a little bit of a challenge. Of course, you can just do this where you just paste a table picture in as well. That's another option that you can do. And yeah, it's quick. Like I would say, like it's just a case of cut and pasting data. It's really quite simple. Alright, so if we go through then and have a bit further look down, what have we got? I've started making a world almanac, which is where I'm going to keep some of this data. I started building in the Rapanathuk area with Zelka's Ferry. Got a bit of a playing around down here with a image. So obviously for us Realmworks users, maps are a huge thing. And look how speedy this is, guys. Like, it just works. It's so nice. But you can see here I have got pins enabled. And what I can do is I can control click those pins and I can open that up into another window, or I can control click this one and I can open up into another window and I can move it around however I like, and it's really just nice and easy to use. You don't just have to have the pins that it provides, you can actually have different pins. So you can see I've created a town pin, and you can see I've got an icon on my town pin that shows that it's actually an icon. You can hold over your pins and you can see what's going on there as well, so that's really cool. The wilderness area, I was playing around with a different idea. So something we didn't have in Realmworks was the ability to draw on the map. So you can see here I've drawn the path that my party took when they arrived at Zelka's Ferry. And you know, there's full drawing tools here as well. So you know, you can draw your notes, you can draw polygons, there's shapes here. Look, I'm sure people can find all sorts of useful ideas for this, but I really quite like that functionality. I think that's fantastic. And I really feel that that's enough in Realmworks, enough for me to come over from Realmworks. Like, I love the fact that it does this. Here's the code that I had to enter to put a map in. So again, you don't have to do too much. You change the ID so that it's unique, and then you just have a link to your image, and then that's it. It just works. So really liking that. In regards to monsters, I've been playing around with these and they're really cool. So there's some add-ons for doing monsters, and I have been playing, so I may have broken this. But what we can see here is I've gone and created some monsters, and just let me see if I can fix this up, because I was playing goblins. Get rid of that one. Got to get the name right, otherwise it doesn't work. There's always something that goes wrong during a video. There we go. I might just have the names wrong, or I might not have imported those monsters yet. I'm not too sure, but as you can see, with a little bit of text, this is an add-on here that's obviously doing this, but with a little bit of text, you just copy this in. I'm keeping a copy of this down here so I can cut and paste it, and you can then just type the name of the stat block, and then boom, you get that. It's already got all these dices built in as well. So that's really cool. Now on top of that, you can also come in here and do encounters. So you can type the encounter code here, give it a name, you give them how many creatures are coming through in here, and then what you do is you just click this button And over here, it's just instantly added those over to your initiative tracker. Fantastic, right? For anyone who's used improved initiative, it seems to work pretty much exactly the same way. You can come in here and apply your damage. You've got all your initiative rounds. You can add status effects to say that's going on. You've got your AC modifiers here. That's really cool. I like that. Probably not going to show this too successfully here. Oh, there we go. So it's got keeping track of links that are contained, similar to Realmworks, obviously that right-hand pane that we used to have. You probably all need to sit down for this next bit, because this is what we call a fantasy calendar. It's a customizable calendar. You can even go to a calendar website that's designed for making these things and just download their templates and import it straight into this tool. It was fantastic. Where did that go? There it is, large calendar. So you can see here, I'm just messing around here. Oh, look, I actually put in a note that said, and linked to that song I was playing with, and you can see I can just hold over and click play and it's already there, or I can link to something else, maybe a topic that explains the event that occurred, and again we've already got it. I love that it's showing the moons. I love that I can add events. There is also a timeline feature that I have not played around with, but you get a full vertical timeline of what's occurred in your world, and that sounds really cool. Over here, again another mod, but if I want to roll 4d20, I believe I can do that. Oh, I'm on the wrong spot. Roll 4d20, I rolled 49. This is a very advanced dice roller. I'm showing the most basic example, but the concept is there, and as you can imagine, this is actually driving a whole heap of that functionality you saw before in the random tables and in the stat block. It has support for tags. That's going to require another video, but it's really cool. It works a lot more efficiently than Realmworks, that's for sure. But I've tagged all of Zelka's Ferry with Zelka's Ferry, and you can see I just have to click that and it brings it up. I've tagged all my players, so there they are. Very quick to get around, so I quite like that. And outside of that, this is the graph view. So if we go back to looking like this, oof, I haven't actually been in here since I did a fairly extensive import. So what I really like about this is, see these ones here, apart from the fact that I can do this, like that's just cool. I don't know why I need it, but it's cool. See how everything's colored green? That's all my Zelka's Ferry stuff, because I went in and I gave them a tag that said they belong to Zelka's Ferry. These are my players, so you can see that they're linked to the party summary, so they're all connected. So what you can actually do, and I'm sure there's all sorts of depths you can get into with this, but is you can sort of color coordinate some of your areas, and it becomes a visual representation of what you're looking for. I can zoom in here, I can go straight to Zelka's Ferry, I can find my trading post and off I go. Or I could do the old control click, and now we get that, and we could actually just use this to move around and read our content. So as you can see, it's very zippy. It's very cool. So look, that's basically an overview of what I've found so far. It's a little bit overwhelming to start off with, I will give it that. The level of depth that I've got to in one day though is pretty outstanding in my opinion. The fact that this tool can just move so quickly, and I'm already starting to explore things like how do we bring in data from Realmworks, because from what I can gather, if you have a look here, all this entire application is doing is making text files. Drag this back over here. So like Forgotten Realms is empty. I'll also show you the empty one. But here, right, for example, the wilderness area, all I've done over here is I've created this topic, right? That's there. If I look in this folder, what that's done is that's created this file here. If I open that with Notepad, this is what it looks like. Alright, it's just a text file. You can even see the code that I've entered in directly here. So, Realmworks can be exported to HTML using the community application that's been provided to us. If we can get to HTML, then technically I'm pretty sure we could get to this MD format, or at least just to a raw text format and just copy that in. I've already noticed, for example, that if you were just to open up a Realmworks export into a HTML format, then you can literally cut and paste in. And just let me show you an example of that. So here's an export of Realmworks, one of the bigger realms that I've been playing with. I'm probably going to find a really boring, here's a nice sort of one here. What I can actually do is copy that, come over here, create a new node, paste that in. If I go into preview mode, look how nice that is, right? Like that's already formatted really quite successfully. It even creates links, but the links are not going to work straight away. I found a way to get them working, but that's more advanced. I'm not sure if it's working or if it's breaking itself further down the track. So, but as you can see, it's really quite successful and easy to use. It's even brought in the pins. Oh, there you go. I'll have to turn those off. Yeah, there you go, guys. So look, that's Obsidian. Hopefully that's tweaked your interest. I have created a Facebook group for all of us to start consolidating in, and I'll post the link to that in the description. But yeah, this is Obsidian, and I'm really quite excited to jump back down into this rabbit hole and see where it goes. So watch this space. I'll be making you some more videos, and let's go and learn the tool together. So have a great night, guys, and we'll see you on the forums.